Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got some special parts in. CJ brought his HCR suspension kit. As you guys saw in the thumbnail, got some legit parts. Timmy, what do you think?
Pretty bad.
It's gonna be pretty fucking bad. CJ, what do you think? What do you think?
It's gonna look good, hopefully.
Hell yeah. So what color did you choose? Is it candy blue? Pika blue?
Candy blue.
It's candy blue. So we did candy blue. By we, I mean CJ, because my bank account can't afford these badass fucking arms. These are badass HCR trailing arms. We also got the upper and lower front A arms. We're gonna do that on another video. Today's video is gonna focus mostly on reassembling the rear end, which is gonna include HCR trailing arms, which are amazing, gorgeous, and we'll go into detail a little bit more on what these are all about. And then LM-UTV, we got some badass billet aluminum, seriously some beefy radius rod. So I have a different brand, and I would say that these are a lot stronger just based on the fact of how thick they are. So really nice. Look at the bottom one. The bottom one is so freaking heavy duty. It's not even funny. It's crazy. So we're going to show you guys how to adjust these and install these properly. We're going to show you how to install the trailing arms, and we're also going to show you guys how to install what is much needed on these cars, and that's this toe link support for the rear hub. It's really needed, and I recommend that to everybody because it's definitely something you want to put on your car. We also got a radius rod plate from LM-UTV. This thing looks nuts. I think it's gonna look crazy good. So before we get into the install, we're gonna show you the trailing arm a little bit more in detail because it's very impressive. And the colors, let's talk about the colors real quick. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have saw a picture of these, and it's a crazy candy like bronze. It's like a gold bronze, huh? So
More of it.
So in the light, it looks lighter. In the, when it's darker, it looks darker.
No shit, Sherlock.
That's kind of a characteristic of like a candy type of color. But crazy color combination. I think it looks freaking awesome, and we'll show you the wheels that CJ just put together because they look freaking ridiculous. So here's the radius rod plate from LM-UTV. There's the bolts that hold this what do you call this?
Pull plate.
Yeah, pull plate hook. The rods, these are all installed. We already did the left side. We wanted to show you guys installed before we do the actual installation, but you can see how much bigger these are than a factory radius rod. These are billet aluminum. They're not hollow tube steel like the ones that come on the factory. So this is the factory one right here. You can see the size of the lower rod, which is what you bent, right CJ?
Yep.
A comparison to the factory one, it's just a whole lot thicker, crazy thicker. And LM-UTV makes some badass parts. We recommend you guys check them out. I'm gonna leave a 50% off discount code from LM-UTV in the description, and I recommend you guys get these rods if you don't have some already, because for the price, these are probably the best. So on to the trip. Man, this guy's excited over here. Damn, he's screaming. All right, onto the train arm. This is actually the inside part of it. Let's show you the outside part of it, or we can do both. You can see how it's gusseted. There's holes in the arm, but it's all boxed in. So very strong, very reinforced. Not just that, there's a bunch of gusseting. So little small pieces of plates that are in here that are actually welded on there before the outside plates are put on. So lots of gusseting everywhere. You can see the little welds there. That's from the plates that are inside of these arms, so they don't collapse. They never collapse. These are super strong, and yeah, they're just amazingly badass. And the rear, I know that the factory arms sometimes crack in this location here. You're never gonna have that problem with HCR. They are probably one of the best in the business. There's a couple brands. No, they did not give us a discount. We got these from our friend over
Scott over at DESERTWORKS.
Scott over at DESERTWORKS. He's been hooking us up.
Good dude, man.
Good dude. So he got these out to us as fast as he could. The guy's super busy, and the UTV industry is blowing up, so he's been busy, but he took care of us. So he got us the HCR arms. He also got us the, what else did he get?
Gusset kit, front bumper. He's working on the cage, and he hooked it up with the powder coat.
Yeah, so a bunch of stuff. So obviously, like I said, this video is gonna be for the rear end. So for the front end, we're gonna do a separate video on how to reinforce the chassis, because this is all really thin sheet metal that tends to get messed up if you don't reinforce it. So we're gonna show you how to install a gusset kit, shock tower brace, and a badass bumper. In this case, they're gonna be made by DESERTWORKS because he's the one getting us all the cool stuff. But it would be a very similar process to some of the other companies that are out there. So one last thing before the installation, and that is the wheels. Timmy, what do we get for wheels?
They're Walker Evans wheels wrapped in some Tensor tires, the DSR ones.
And they're freaking huge. They're 33s. So
true 33s.
True 33. So we were gonna make another video, right? And they were what brand? GBC?
They're GBC Canadi's Trail
Terramasters, the Canatis. They had like a different dual pattern on the tire. They look cool. They were 33s, and I don't think they were true 33s. They were the same size as my 32-inch BFG KM3s. These tires that he got instead, and we'll get to why he got those tires instead in a second. These tires are Tensor DSR 33s, and they are true 33s. Maybe not true exact, but they are definitely bigger than the 32 that BFG makes. So the problem we had with the other tires made by GBC, the Canatis, is that I think it's the wheels. We don't know if it's the wheels or the tire, but the bead was not thick enough, and the bead lock ring would not tighten down on the bead lock, and it kept leaking air. So we couldn't stop that. We tried torquing them down, and it wouldn't make a difference. The bead lock was too thin, and we don't have that problem with these Tensors. They look like they fit perfect. This dude knocked them out like in half an hour. That was like the fastest ever. Did you torque them down right? Stop lying, homie. I see a cerveza in your hand, and I have a feeling you're lying. It's your life, homie.
Come on, man.
All right, let's go check out those wheels. Where'd you put the one that we had in here?
No, I left it outside.
Fucking jabroni, dude.
I'll bring it for you. I'll bring
He's
it.
all sad because a fucking Lasorda died. Show me the goods. Jesus Christ. So this is a Walker Evans racing wheel. Is there a model number for this wheel? Or like a model?
I think that's an
Evolution? We'll leave a link in the description for this wheel. It's really cool. By the way, we'll also leave links in the description for all the HCR and LM-UTV parts. Yeah, so this wheel looks freaking amazing. You did the bronze for the center, blue for the outer, and then these Tensor tires. They just look freaking nuts. There's not like a name of it?
Yeah, the Race Legend.
Race Legend. Oh shit. All right, we're gonna go outside and compare these to my BFGs. They don't look wider, but once you look closely, they're a lot wider because they kind of convex out a little bit, and they have these ridges, a lot wider, and you can see and you can tell right away they're a good 1.5 inches taller. Maybe even more. Nah, I would say 1.5 inches, huh? Maybe 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, but they're definitely taller. So these are the BFG KM3 32s. Tire's thinner, and tire is also not as tall. These are the 33s from Tensor, and dude, big freaking difference. So all right, so we're gonna start the install with hanging the trailing arm from the front, and I'm gonna have the big heavy duty guy take the arm because they're not very light. They're not super heavy, but they are definitely heavier than the factory ones. And that's the sacrifice you take when you want, you know, reliability. Trailing arms fail, but these won't. Pretty freaking simple. Shove it in there, Timmy. No homo. Oh, fucking Timmy.
Timmy, when I tell you to do something, you do it. Timmy! Timmy, don't make me kick your ass. Timmy!
Watch your fingers.
Yeah, fucking smash my fingers. Go up a little bit. I'll go back a little bit, right there. All right, we're gonna hang that there, and then we'll probably follow with putting the sway bar link in just for meanwhile. We don't want to tighten that down just yet, just in case we gotta take it off, because you're gonna struggle, not struggle, but you're gonna fight the radius rods a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and mount this here. The shock, I kind of have it put away on the side for the same reason. We're gonna want to put the radius rods in first. All right, so before we can install the radius rods, we're gonna go ahead and pretty much measure them and put them to factory settings. So the very bottom arm has no adjustments, and you won't need to adjust it, so it'll be just fine. The center one, which is another arched one, will need an adjustment here at the end. We're gonna pretty much copy the length of the factory rod. So it's very simple. Use the bolts that will normally go through the radius rods in the hubs and kind of align it. I like to space them out just so I can make sure to keep this straight and nothing's touching. And you pretty much just square it off. So in this case, and you can see that from one end to the other, it's pretty much squared on both ends, and that means they're pretty much the same length. So you get into more detail on trying to measure these, but I had good luck doing it this way, and I don't think we're gonna have issues. So the last thing I would say and recommend is go ahead and tighten down your jam nut, because this jam nut actually goes towards the hub side, and it's very hard to get to without, you know, pulling the arm back off. So you wouldn't want to pull these rods back off. You want to tighten them down, adjust them to the correct length, tighten it down, and install it on the car. So right here at this point, we're gonna go ahead and tighten it. So this is gonna be our arm, our center rod that controls the toe. All right, so grab the rod that you're gonna be adjusting, put the long bolts through there. You could use another misalignment spacer or maybe even washers. I like to use something to just keep them separate, because when you're gonna turn it, it might hit the factory rod. So I got these spacers. These are actually spacers for the seats, which we gotta adjust, by the way. So we'll put those in there. So you guys can see right there, we're super out of adjustment. This top rod, which controls the camber, needs to move out a lot. So before we even start, you know, shoving it in there, we're gonna have to get it at least close. All right, so the nice thing about these radius rods is there's a left hand heim and a right hand heim. So they're threaded opposite. So when you go to adjust it, it'll go open or closed evenly on both ends. Versus the brand that I have on my car, you actually have to pull one of the rods off. You have to actually pull the rod physically off and then turn it and then put it back on, because you can't just loosen both jam nuts and turn it. It just won't work. So the nice thing about these is there's a left hand and a right hand, and you go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and step on the bottom, and we'll adjust these to make them longer. All right, so right there we're a lot closer, but I can tell just by this bolt that there's still, actually there's too long, so I went too far. But since we're actually in the hole now, giggity, 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 we're gonna fucking go ahead and actually shorten these up just a little bit. So we'll do about a full turn. All right, so we'll square it up on all ends. Make sure the rods are facing forward or straight. Make sure that these rods aren't, you know, crooked or anything. All right, when you're doing this, take your time, because you don't want to have to pull these back off. You want to get it as straight as possible. I think that's it right there. Huh? So we'll go ahead and torque down the jam nuts right there, and we'll slap it on the car. It takes some time to adjust these just right, but if you take your time, it'll be better, because you know, you have a good alignment and you won't have to worry about, you know, taking these off or trying to adjust them on the car, because they can be a little bit difficult to adjust in the car, because these nuts, the jam nuts, usually get covered up by the radius rod plate, or on the left side it will be covered up by not just the wheel, but the trailing arm gets in the way. All right, so before we install these LM-UTV radius rods, we're gonna need the hub in place. And the hub, currently we have it on the vise, and we have this Shock Therapy TLS kit. Now what this kit does is provide stability and pretty much bracing to the aluminum hub to keep it from hollowing out. The problem with these hubs is, after a while, especially if you ride it hard and go through the whoops a lot, is the bolt holding the center radius rod in place is leveraging on this aluminum, and it gets hollowed out. And you will get change in toe every time you're using it. It's gonna get worse and worse, and eventually sometimes the bolts will break. So in order to avoid that, you buy the Shock Therapy TLS kit. So what this includes is obviously this for both sides. It's a bolt, multiple misalignment spacers, and spacers that go through the hub itself, and they give you a drill bit, which is this one here. You can actually do this on the car, which I've done myself before, but since we have it apart, we're gonna do it here on the bench. So they have different versions of this. They have a 3/4 inch for heims that are 3/4. They have a 5/8 version, which is this one, for 5/8 heims, which these LM-UTV radius rods have. Also, you can find this on ZRP radius rods. They're also 5/8. And they also make a kit that's made for the factory radius rods, which I don't recommend, because if you're putting this on, you're driving it pretty hard, and you're probably gonna do aftermarket radius rods anyways. So first things first, put this in the vise, and pretty simple. You're gonna drill this out as straight as possible. You know, take your time if you have to, and look over it. Make sure you go and do this straight. You don't want this to be cockeyed, because then you might have a little bit of issues. So let's do it. All right, so we're gonna show you the orientation of how this TLS kit goes before we put it on the car, because it's gonna be hard to see on the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this apart. These spacers here, the big ones that go in the hub itself, there's gonna be two different ones. One's gonna be flat, and that's gonna go on the inside where the axle is at. The other one is gonna have this 5/8 misalignment edge here, and that's gonna go towards the radius rod. So once you have those two installed, you're gonna get your radius rod. This is the one for the that controls the toe. On the LM-UTV, it only has one rod end on one end. The other one is kind of pressed in there. So you're gonna take off the misalignment spacers from this heim. You're not gonna use them, and they're gonna go pretty much directly on this spacer here. So after you do that, you pretty much use the other 5/8 misalignment spacer that comes in the kit, followed by the washer and the bolt. And the opposite end, which is gonna be tricky, I use a wrench with some electrical tape to hold it in place, is gonna be the washer and the nut. So in the kit comes some red Loctite. You're gonna wanna use red Loctite on the threads before you torque this down, and pretty much that will be it. So obviously don't do this while the hub is off. You're gonna wanna do this with the hub installed on the trailer arm, and then we'll sneak the radius rod in and we'll show you guys that in just a little bit. But I wanted to go into detail in here to show you guys, that way you guys get a good idea when you're installing it on the car, because it's gonna be hard for me to show you while we're doing it on the car. So let's get to it. All right, so first we're gonna start off with the lower radius rod, and that's gonna keep the trailing arm in place, kind of where we want it to start off. And as you can see, the trailing arm moves back and forth quite a bit. And I want you guys to think about that, because when you're going through the whoops, the arm is not locating, you know, the wheel. What's putting the wheel in place are these radius rods. So invest in a good set of radius rods, because this is what aligns and keeps the vehicle in place. The arm is just pretty much holding the load of the shock or holding the load of the vehicle. It's not really locating where the wheel is at. So the alignment is all based on these radius rods, and invest in a good set. So I know they came out with a new design recently. They're a little bit more slimmed down. Nothing wrong with the old design. These are pretty much, you know, bulletproof. I'm sure there is instances where you can damage these and bend them, but anything damages, anything breaks. Carbon fiber breaks, titanium breaks, everything breaks. So there's a breaking point for everything, but for the most part, no one has issues with these. And most billet radius rods are a good way to go. So whatever you choose, good for you, but these are pretty much some of the best ones, especially for the money. So we're gonna install this. Huh?
Even Timmy's heart breaks.
What's wrong with your heart, dude?
Nothing.
Breaking, dude?
No.
So we'll install the lower rod at the train arm, and it goes in with the longest bolt. We're not gonna push all the way because the hub is gonna go there, but we'll get to that in a second. And we're gonna put this through the arm here, or excuse me, the bolt in the middle. All right, when you're assembling the opposite side, leave the sway bar link off, because on the other side the shock is already on, and that's gonna keep the right side from moving. So we're gonna leave the sway bar link off the train arm, and now we can jack this up with ease. So we're only moving it up just enough so we get the axle back in. We probably should have put this in first, but 'tis his life. There we go. All right, now the axle's in place. We'll settle that there. I'll switch spots with you, Timmy, and we'll put the hub on. All right, so the hub, make sure you're facing the caliper bolts towards the front. This is gonna slide in to the axle, and then the bottom portion is gonna slide in right here. So that's why we didn't put the bolt in the first time. So we didn't put it all the way. So now we'll shove the bolt in. There it goes. That locates the bottom portion of the hub. The top, we're gonna put it in here for meanwhile. We're gonna go ahead and continue with the center toe radius rod. All right, so the radius rod that controls the toe, remember we're gonna be using the toe link support from Shock Therapy, so we'll put that in place. All right, so this is why the TLS support from Shock Therapy is so important, because when you're in that rough terrain, you're hitting rocks, the wheel is being forced, and it's pretty much putting all the pressure on the center here and that center radius rod. So that's why this radius rod is really important, and that's why this TLS kit is very important to keep this hub from getting damaged. So have it in my car has been great so far. So this is gonna slide in right there. Timmy's gonna do his best to put it in the hole there, which he's had trouble all his life, but we'll see what happens.
It's gotta come up a little bit.
Fuck, I'm not a good recorder. I mean, I was pointing at the floor now.
You have a little nut?
No, I don't got a big nuts.
Oh, Jesus!
Right here, fool. Big nuts all your life. All right, so now that the that's in place for now, that's gonna be the most difficult part, because you gotta align all the bolts and trailing arms, or excuse me, radius rods when you put the radius rod plate in. But we'll continue down here at the hub. We'll put this on right here. Let's see here. Grab that trailing arm, pull it over. Okay. So then that's gonna go right there. All right, for the TLS kit, make sure you put some red Loctite on there that comes in the kit. This fucking thing's empty. Just a few drops will do it. 2 drops, I would say. And I'll put that on there. I'll spin it on a little bit.
What are you supposed to be at?
95, what is that right now? 100?
It's at 100.
Fuck it, hit it.
Ready?
You got all the fucking leverage. Go, go, go. Oh, there you go. Woo! I think we can finish off with the top arm, right? So the top arm, pretty much the same thing as the bottom one. You slide it in here first, and then you put the bolt in from this side. Now I don't have it on the other side because I was just trying to hold the hub in place, but it goes in from this side. So there's an orientation left to right on these. I pretty much just copy what I see on the LM-UTV pictures, and that's the bigger one goes toward the outside, and the smaller, well actually this one doesn't even have one, but this one you can see the little machine pocket there, and that goes towards the outside. All right, so we forgot to clean off the powder coat right here. You gotta clean off the powder coat because it's kind of thick. We'll use a razor blade or maybe a little bit of sandpaper and get that off. All right, so we're finishing up the top radius rod. Go ahead and put that bolt in full.
Chris just wanted his...
He just wanted his opinion in there.
Well, I'm just gonna fucking come over here then, dog.
Wait, you don't get fucking soft on us, fool. Talk shit. What's the problem?
I don't like to be on fucking camera, homie.
Why not?
For what?
What, are you fucking illegal or something? And fucking making us come for you? All right, so
Just swipe. What is it? Swipe right? Yeah, it's swipe right. I think.
swipe right.
On not Christian Mingle.
Fucking Christian Mingle.
Yeah, fucking.
What worries me is you know all these websites for dating. The Christian Mingle. What the fuck is that?
You never heard of it?
No, I never heard of the fucking Christian Mingle song.
Farmers only.
Farmers only. I only heard of that because you guys. Fucking weirdos. Damn. All right, so if you guys need dating help, these fools know all the websites apparently. All right. I need you to fucking in order to get the rod in, if you're having trouble, what happens is the camber's off pretty much because the arm's just kind of floating in the air. You're gonna want to tilt it this way to try to get the rod on there. All right, too far. Go back more. No more. Right there. We're gonna go for a short pizza break, and then we'll finish this up. So I think the best thing to do is leave the shocks unbolted until you put the plate on. That way you can move the trailing arms at will without having the pressure from the shock, and then you can line this up and put the plate on, because that's kind of a difficult part. It's always recommended to have a couple set of hands like we do today. I've done it by myself on my personal car a couple times. Another time Timmy helped me, but when I did the one for the bumper, it was a real pain in the ass. So just keep that in mind. Let's go eat some pizza.
Push, come on, almost there, just one more push. Here it is.
All right, all the radius rods are in place. It's probably a bad idea to mount the shock. It's probably a good idea to mount the shocks after, and you'll see why. This side we're gonna fight a little bit because the shock is gonna be pushing down on the trailing arm, which is gonna affect the alignment of the radius rods. This side we can play with it all we want. We have the jack underneath it, and we got two big heavy duty guys. One right there, Timmy, it's cracking dog. I got my nylon nuts ready, and you can see here, if you try to align it, the top holes are not wide enough, the middle holes are too wide, and then the bottom holes are actually pointing downwards. So that's the problem with these studs coming out of this car. They're kind of a pain in the ass. So all right, so we got to get these in the ballpark area. The top, we're gonna hit it outwards there, and we're doing this with a plastic hammer so we don't jack up the threads. This one needs to go in just a little bit. Also make sure that your misalignment spacers are fully inserted into the arms. You don't want them coming out and then you're forcing them and jamming them up with the plate. And we'll see the alignment. The top is pretty good. The bottom is, excuse me, the middle ones are horrible. This one's gonna have to go outwards, and this one needs to go up. Who's fucking messaging you all those snaps right now, fool? What's her fucking name? I want to know.
It's midnight. Tell him.
What's her name? Chilorio says Central? You're just fucking slanging dick everywhere? What is this? Why are you getting so many snaps?
Look, he's getting red, homie. Look at this camera, homie. Look at this fool.
He's just fucking slanging
red,
dick.
homie.
You're just slanging dick everywhere, aren't you? Get out of here, fool. What are you fucking spying on me for?
How am I spying on you?
Alright, let's get to work. Come on, I want to get this shit done. Alright, so check it out. Back on the fucking, give me the line too. Hook me up. Let's go more.
More?
Fuck, we're so close, dude. Alright, so the holes on this are really exact, so you gotta really, you know, align it as best as possible. So homo. Before you even try shoving it on there. No homo. Right there. Alright, so this powder coated, so we got hit it with the hammers. Oh, come on, baby. Alright, so they're all in. The center ones are kind of, you know, not very flush, so we're gonna try to tighten down the other ones and see if they move. Damn, right there. Alright, I think the manual says like 77 foot-pounds. We're gonna do 80. That's what we'll be doing everything. And before I do that, just double check that all the misalignment spacers are fully inserted like they're supposed to be. And we should be good. Good to go. Looks hella good, dude. Check that shit out. Alright, it's all torqued down here. This side's complete. We still gotta do this side. We're gonna use some of this cross-check torque seal. This is pretty much just a visual aid. So when you're out riding, maybe you start hearing some noises. This is actually gonna help you because you leave a little stripe on the stud or the bolt and the nut, and if they come loose, that paint will break. So you'll know if that's the reason for it being loose. So it's just a nice way to check everything, you know, before you go out on a ride, or maybe start hearing some noises. And luckily we got some blue one here. Keep it nice with the theme. What do you think?
I like it, dog.
We need the owner's fucking we need answers here, fool. We've been waiting all this time for these parts, and we need to know what you think.
I love it, dog.
Honest opinion.
I love it.
It looks fucking sick, dude. All right, so other things that you have to know that we might not go over is the they do give you new hardware for the brake lines, a total of 3. You don't want to tighten those down. Make sure that the brake line at the back here does not rub on the wheels, obviously. Also, they do give you new bolts for the shocks because they're actually longer. So the factory ones won't work, and the longer ones will work. So they do give you that. All right, we're tying down the bolts, this upper one and the lower one, and we're adding some of this cross check. Next, we can go ahead and pretty much install the shock, install the sway bar link, and install the front trailing arm pivot bolt, and torque that all down. So we'll get that done right now. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, dude, we struggle with that one. Either the powder coat was a little too thick, or the fabrication was a little too tight. We had a hard time getting this in, but we shaved it off a little bit, and now it's time to torque it down, finish that up. I'm gonna show you how to grease these wheel bearings, and then we'll wrap it up. We'll put these badass wheels on. Can't wait to see what they look like. Right, Tim? Damn, dog, finally. All right, some guys have asked on the process on how to grease these wheel bearings. You're gonna use this tool like I was showing you guys. You're pretty much gonna pull off the hub, which we'll do in reverse order how to install this. It's pretty much just a big giant nut. You take that off, and you can pull off the hub. Obviously, you gotta take the brake caliper off as well. And you slide this guy in, just like that. So what that does is it's got holes in it that go towards the grease entries of the wheel bearing, and that'll push grease in. Now, before I did this on my own personal vehicle, I saw lots of guys saying you need almost 20 pumps until grease starts coming out. I feel you don't have to go that much. I would say half of that. So I like to do between 10 and 15. So normally I do like 12 pumps because, you know, that's plenty of grease for this wheel bearing. You don't need to overload it, pretty much hydro lock it and push grease out. I don't think that's the right thing to do, because then all that does is attract dirt. So we're gonna do about 12 pumps on this one, pump grease into the wheel bearing so it's running nice and smooth when we're out there riding. And we'll take this tool back off, it just pulls back out. So let's do it. So get yourself a grease gun. If you don't have one, we'll find a buddy that has one. Is fucking your brother over there taking another smoke break? Yeah, man, who fucked up my powder coat? All right, what is that? 12, 14? Where are we at? That's about 12. Okay. Here you go. All right, so in this channel, there's 2 rubber O-rings that keep the grease from going outwards, it stays within this channel, and then within this channel, see if you guys can see it. All right, so it's super hard to see, but within this channel there's a couple of small holes in the this little race here, and the grease goes through the body and pushes out, and it fills this whole channel with grease, and then that channel pretty much pushes the grease out into the opening of the wheel bearing and greases your wheel bearings. Throw your hub back onto the spindle. All right, I didn't get to record this because the GoPro died. There's a Torx pit for this axle nut. I just hit it with the impact, not too tight, just enough to it's snug, and then I put the cotter pin through it. I wouldn't say snug, it's tight, but it's not, you know, you're not cranking it on there because this 1/2 inch gun is pretty strong, and you don't want to over torque it. So this is done. We'll go ahead and put our new hardware for our brake line, bolt on the caliper, we'll throw the wheels on, and then damn, we'll get the full experience with the new wheels. That's gonna be good. All right, there it is, and the Walker Evans wheels look so goddamn good with the HCR arms and the LM-UTV rods. It just came out so freaking clean. It looks fire. The way you can see the trailing arm with the blue, and then goes into bronze, the blue toe ring, and then more blue at the other trailing arm. It just looks fire. I mean, that plate, it could go blue too, it would look good too, but I think with the bronze, actually it's just perfect. So you can see the thread checker we use on everything, and damn dude, freaking fire. We are having an issue with the brake lines. It would have been nice if HCR made another hole and you can just use it like a rivet, because we're gonna have to drill a hole in the HCR arm and then, you know, put a little pop rivet. I'm not sure how else to do it because we don't want to leave slack in the center or towards the front, because then, you know, something might catch it like a rock. So, but look at this thing, man. Fuck. I'm freaking jelly right now. These tensors and Walker Evans, tensors are owned by Method, by the way, but on these Walker Evans, they look freaking fire, dude, no doubt about it. So obviously the blues don't match. Eventually we're gonna do springs on this car and powder coat the springs, or we might leave them silver depending on you know, what the captain over there decides. All right, so doors, we will be changing the doors, possibly TMW. The cage, DESERTWORKS, Scott over at DESERTWORKS here in he's in Montclair or Upland? In Montclair, DESERTWORKS in Montclair. They're doing the cage, and we're waiting for them to finish that. And obviously, like the suspension, we told you guys, we're gonna show you guys how to reinforce it. We're gonna do one video for that, and then second video will be installing these HCR arms. And check it out, lower arm bronze, upper arm blue. It's gonna look freaking sick. Well, any last words, dog? You spent a lot of money, dude.
If you guys are looking for HCR, we do know Scott does have some parts in stock. So yeah, if you guys are in California. Yeah, so again, Scott over at DESERTWORKS, he did have a couple kits in stock, because I know if you order them online, they're freaking like back ordered weeks. Yeah, so, you know, check your local
shops.
Yeah, your local DESERTWORKS, your local, you know, manufacturer. Here in Inland Empire, DESERTWORKS got them. All right, guys, that's it. See you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Done for the night, but the party never ends. Woo! That's right. Where's your juice box at, fool?
Juice box boy.
Nah, Timmy don't like beer, but I don't know if you guys saw the last video. This boy was getting down on that whiskey, homie.
I like whiskey.
Yeah, fucking 2 before we had 1.
I know, man.
Fucking trying to go sleep early, I think.
Hey, I slept warm as fuck though, I did.
You did you? Did you just turn the heater on that night?
Yeah, he left the heater on at 80 degrees, man. Yeah. I woke up at like 4 in the morning and I was sweating my ass off.
That's why you sleep in your chonies like I do. Alright, peace out, guys.